every single time you would pray over us to have a good day, that, God would be with us throughout our day. And at the very end of every single prayer that you say, God, please forgive us of our sins and everywhere that we fail you. We love you. Amen. And that is something that you say that has stuck with me from the first time that I remember you saying it until now. And I say it at the end of every single one of my prayers.
All right. Well, welcome back to The Uncomfortable Truth. We are excited to have our best guest yet on the podcast.
An amazing guest.
So this right across from me is Madison. Madison is my niece. She is Shaun's daughter. And Madison does a lot of the editing for our podcast. And she does a lot of, she goes in and releases a lot of the shorts and a lot of the, she filters through the content and finds the good stuff that hopefully tries to catch people's eye and ultimately leads you guys maybe to getting over to some of our longer form stuff. And so Madison helps us plant seeds, and she helps us to hopefully just reach people for Jesus. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we started from the beginning, was just hopeful that we could reach out to one person and hopefully speak to just one individual about Jesus. But Madison, what is this the first time you've ever been on a podcast?
This is the very first time.
Yeah. What do you think so far?
I mean, it's pretty awesome, but I am a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. It just feels like an interview.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm okay at those. So.
But you've been going through some interviews here recently, right?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty extensive interviews. It lasted about 2 or 3 months long.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you've had I don't know how many of our podcasts that you've actually watched. How many do you think that you've watched through to try to pull out some of the goodies inside of the podcast that we've done? So
I have been editing for actually, what's today? A year today.
No kidding.
Really? I started last December 18th, which I didn't even realize that whenever I was coming on here it was like the year anniversary, but I guess it's one a week, right? Yep. So about 52. But before I started editing, I've listened to nearly every single one of them.
Cool. Well, we just started doing the one a week like maybe this year, and before that it was 2 a week for the longest time. So this is actually episode 48. So we have 3 more episodes before we finish this season up and move on to the next season. But we've been wanting to have you on for a long time, and we're excited to get to do it now. I know we want to ask you some questions. Shaun's got some questions. I've got some stuff we want to just bounce off of you and just hear your story a little bit.
Okay.
Shaun, what do you want to hit her with first?
Well, we're just excited that Madison's here. And just for the audience, Madison is our oldest daughter, and she's 24 years old. She graduated from White Oak High School. Then she went on to graduate, from Texas A&M. And what was your degree at Texas A&M, Maddie?
It was communication.
Communication. And with that degree, how do you feel like that probably helps you quite a bit with what you do now, isn't it?
In a sense, yeah. I mean, as much as it can. I feel like it's a very basic degree that can kind of get you going in any direction that you want to go, which is why I decided to get that degree and pursue that. But I also got a minor in business, and I think that I really use that more than anything now since I'm in sales.
Sure.
Awesome.
Absolutely. So what's the name of the company you work for?
It's Medtronic.
Okay, so you do editing for us kind of on the side, and then Medtronics during the day?
Yeah, so more Medtronic from about 6 o'clock in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, and then at night is whenever I do a lot of my editing.
Nice.
So kind of nonstop working.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been with this company?
I just started.
Really?
I literally just got out of training on Thursday last week. But I started in September.
Awesome. That was, it wasn't easy, was it?
No. Oh my gosh. There were so many so many nights, lots of tears and lots of stress and lots of breaking out. And I really didn't know that I was going to get through it. But it's so crazy how much your brain can hold, because I was handed a lab manual that was probably 150 pages long. And in the beginning, they said, whenever you come out of this, you're going to know this book like the back of your hand.
Yeah.
And I looked at them like they were crazy, because there's no way that I could memorize 150 pages. But now that I'm out of it and I'm in the field, I mean, it's like all right here in the back of my head, and I just want to tell everybody about it. So
That's super awesome. Wow.
So, quick question: what was your hardest class in college?
Finance.
So, how would you compare finance at Texas A&M to what you just went through?
So, funny story. The only reason why I passed finance at A&M is because of my now fiance.
Okay.
We actually found out that we were in that class together as we were in the process of meeting. So him, but like leaning on other people, I think, is really what got me through both of those the class, and then also my training. I feel like I'm a very independent person, but whenever I struggle to figure anything out, or I feel like I just can't understand it or grasp it, I really lean on my peers to just kind of guide me and help me get through it.
That's a great attribute. You're going to use that a lot in life, I promise.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of moments that you're trying to figure out, how am I going to get through this?
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have, I have 3 friends that I went through training with that I didn't even meet until I was in training. And truthfully, if I didn't have those 3 people the whole time, there's no way I would have been able to get through it. They were pretty much my
foundation, rock.
Yes, through it all.
That's cool.
That's super awesome. Well, I just wanted to say how proud of you that we are. You're 24 years old and you've accomplished a lot more than a lot of 24-year-olds your age. Whenever you just think about life in general, a lot of people, they don't really figure out life until they start getting in their late 20s or in their 30s, and even then, some people struggle all the way till they get into their 40s. So you've accomplished a heck of a lot. And that also makes me think about the first time that I met you. And I'm going to try not to me be emotional. I'm not, and I don't want you to get emotional.
I'm just not going to look at you.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you were 18 months old when we first met. And, it's crazy to me. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. I was dating a girl for 3 years at Stephen F. Austin State University. And we were going through a tough time. And we were actually different religions. And we ended up not working out because God didn't want us to work out. And that ultimately led me to meeting your mom, and it led me to meeting you. And it was just it's so crazy, because I think that God, the way God naturally makes us, is we're so drawn to young kids, and especially whenever they start showing an interest in you. And you started showing an interest in me almost immediately whenever we first met. And you probably don't remember back when you were 18 months old, but I can vividly remember whenever Kat and I were talking, you would drop your binky out of your bed, and you would yell for me to come get your binky for you that fell out of the bed, which is a pacifier for those who don't know what a binky is. And it was just amazing to me how quickly and how resilient you were at that age, and how we just connected immediately. And that, I think, was a very attractive thing for your mom. Whenever she's looking at me, she's like, wow, this guy totally gets along with my daughter. Mm-hmm. And so for those of you that don't know, Madison is our oldest daughter, and she is 100% my daughter. I would do anything in the world for her, the same way I would her other 2 siblings. And she's an amazing human being who also, her dad and I get along great, and which is freaking awesome. From day one, David and I got along great. And so it's been such a cool thing to watch Madison grow up and to morph into this beautiful young lady who is a a God-fearing woman who works hard and who's done nothing short of made us proud in just every single way. And one of the questions I kind of had for you is, back to when you were 18 months old, what is your oldest memory of meeting me? And do you remember whenever you first started calling me Shaun, then it was Shaun Daddy, and then ultimately you were calling me and your biological dad, calling us both Dad. And I remember that happening one time whenever we were putting a swing set together. You were looking back and forth, and he was helping me put a swing set together for you during Christmas, which is close to Christmas time right now. And you were calling us both Dad, and I remember thinking, wow, this is crazy.
So, first of all, I feel just so blessed that you have, been in my life this long, and then that you met Mom whenever you did. Whew. I'm gonna try not to cry. Oh
It's
my
okay.
God.
We cry on this podcast.
I'm a little bit of a titty baby. I'm very in tune with my emotions. But, I was, you sent me these questions earlier, and I was really trying to think of just like this moment in time that I remember like you, and I couldn't come up with any moment like particularly, but like I have one memory that I always think about. Oh my gosh. And
It's all right.
I'm not looking at you. So, anytime that you would take us to school in the morning, you would always pray over us. Every single time you'd say, even it doesn't matter if we had gone in an argument that morning because one of us woke up late, or Lexi put on my clothes, and I got mad at her. It didn't matter what it was. Maybe we woke up 5 minutes ago and all of us were scrambling to get our stuff and get in the car. And every single time you would pray over us to have a good day, that, God would be with us throughout our day. And at the very end of every single prayer that you say, God, please forgive us of our sins, and everywhere that we fail you, we love you. Amen. And that is something that you say that has stuck with me from the first time that I remember you saying it until now. And I say it at the end of every single one of my prayers. And that, to me, is just, God and your relationship with him and how that relays into you as a dad is just, that's what I think about whenever I think about you. It's how faithful you are, and just how much you want us to succeed and be better. And I don't know. I could go on and on about it, but there's not like a very specific moment in time. My memory is honestly not the best, but whenever I just think about that and that question that you asked me, that's just kind of what I go back to.
That's awesome.
So cool.
That's so cool. What better memory to have growing up with your dad than the prayers that you would speak to Jesus about on the way to school in the morning, and what an awesome dad, that helped shape you into who you are, which is, like Shaun said in the beginning, so awesome. And I know that your memory may fade a little bit, but I can remember many, many, many times of you since right when Shaun and Catherine started dating. You just stole everybody's heart. You did.
She had a massive personality, and she still does.
Yeah.
But during that time, I just remember thinking, wow, this little angelic child gets along with everybody.
She stole everyone's heart. Like, that's the best way to put it. Like, everybody, from the time that you were old enough to be able to know like what a connection was and that what love was, you just loved everyone. And you talked to everyone, and you made people feel special, and you didn't even know you were doing it. And it's so neat to see that little girl, that was just so outgoing and loving and beautiful, and just all of it. I'm right there with you, Shaun. It makes me emotional too, just to think about how wonderful and blessed that all the people are that know Maddie, I'm excited to see what God has in store for your future. I know it's going to be wonderful, wonderful, great things. But we're going to talk about more than that's just going to make you cry. Okay, we'll talk about some other stuff too. What else do you want to hit her with, Shaun?
So I got one of the questions. I was just kind of wondering, just because it was never an experience that I had, but what was it like growing up with two sets of parents who loved you tremendously, one in Tyler and one over in the White Oak area, and what was that like? Was that something that made you feel uncomfortable? Was that something that made you feel more loved? How was that?
So I don't know any different, to be honest. My entire life, I've always had 4 parents. That's just what I thought was normal. And not that that's a bad thing at all. I feel so blessed to have 4 parents that love me so much. And kind of like you mentioned earlier, that you and my dad you guys have been friends the entire time. And I think that is what the biggest difference is, and what has made it so easy to have 4 parents, is that all 4 parents get along. I have some friends whose parents have been divorced, whether that was from an early age in their childhood or like well into maybe their high school time, but their parents like can't even be in the same room as each other without glaring eyes or just making each other mad. Like they just cannot stand to be in the same room.
So sad.
And it's so sad. And I hate it. I mean, I just had a friend the other day. She had to have 2 baby showers because her parents couldn't stand to be at the same one. And I couldn't imagine it being that way. I mean, I just feel so blessed, and I'm so thankful that I've never had to experience something like that. I mean, I can remember every single birthday party, all 4 parents were there every single time. Yep. Nobody had any issues. Nobody was mad at each other, and they all made it work for the sake of me. I mean, I'm sure that you guys had your disagreements along the way, but you saw me at the middle of it, and you were like, what is going to be the best for her? Because that is our child. That's who we want the best for. And I mean, I feel it. I see it every single day, and I'm so thankful for it. I couldn't imagine it being any other way.
That's awesome.
And I mean, all the other family that comes along with 4 parents. I mean, if you really look at it, I come from there's a lot of divorce and separation in my family. I mean, I have 13 grandparents, so it's massive, but I can't imagine having it any other way. I feel so thankful that I have so many people in my corner rooting for me and continuously encouraging me and just loving on me. I mean, it's the best.
That's really awesome. I got another one for you.
Okay.
So what's it like being the oldest sibling? You've always had 2 younger sisters that are always looking up to you. And I know, just God, I see my entire life. They want what you have. They want to play volleyball like you. They want to run, all different kinds of whatever sports you played. They always looked up to you, and they wanted the things that you I guess wanted or aspired to have. And what was that like? Do you feel like that puts a lot of pressure on you, being the oldest and having to kind of set the standard?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being the oldest kid, like you said, you have your siblings always looking up to you, always have eyes on you, no matter what you do, every move that you make, they're making the same move. I mean, there's a lot of pressure behind it. And you guys you always reminded me, like, hey, you're the role model here. You have little ones looking up to you. Like, make sure that you're doing all the right things. So there's definitely a lot of pressure that comes along with it, but I loved it. I mean, getting to see my little sisters grow up, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Tears again.
What
Go
do you
away,
think?
go away.
What do you think it was, as far as not just being an older sister? I've always considered you a role model among your peers. I've always considered you to be just very mature for your age. What is it that you feel like was kind of do you feel like there's a catalyst or something that you think about that just makes you want to be the best version of Maddie that you can be? Do you think that was ingrained by your parents? Do you think that, like, what do you think?
I think that it is ingrained in a lot of different ways. My parents, one, my siblings, two, but myself, I have set really high expectations and goals for myself throughout my entire life. At every different life stage that I enter, I set a new goal for myself, and every single time I've met those expectations, but it's not about meeting expectations. It's about exceeding those expectations. And I want to make sure that I'm doing that every single time.
What do you think is the difference? Because the fact of the matter is that sets you apart from a lot of people. Most people don't have those intrinsic desires to exceed expectations and to be a leader and to always just be the best version of you that you can be. What do you think separates people that don't have that it factor and the ones that do?
Not to be too frank, but laziness.
Yeah.
I think that really separates the two, because some people, they're okay with being mediocre. Like, they're okay with their job that they have, that,
Do you
they're
think
okay
that's
with
a
it.
product of the environment that they were raised in? Do you think?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if they have parents that are in their jobs and they're set in their ways, then, I mean, they're going to potentially do the same thing. But I also think that could be a trigger for them to want to be something different.
Right.
But
It's almost like those are the few, though. You know, it seems like for the most part, you have people that follow in the footsteps of the way that they were raised. And I do feel like that you 100% are a product of, like, all four of your parents.
Yes.
Very successful, very driven, very ambitious, always felt that it was very important to surround themselves with people that made them sharper and stronger and sharpen them, and always made it a point to give God all the glory for anything that they ever accomplished. And you knew and heard that affirmation, and you heard those messages and all of that discussion among your parents your whole life, right?
Constantly.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, I just remember, just recently, as I was going through all of the interview processes, I was applying for a couple of different jobs because I wanted out of the job that I was in. And my parents, all of them, they were like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that one. Like, I think that you could do better than this. Maybe let's shoot for the stars. Don't just go for mediocre. Don't just go for this one. Like, let's go for the big girl job. Let's try it out. Let's see what you can do. And so, I mean,
that makes me
parents
think,
instill a lot.
That totally makes me think about a quote I heard the other day. And basically, everything great happens just on the other side of uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And, so many people, they're just not afraid. They're just too afraid to get uncomfortable. They get in this comfort zone. They become content, and then they become stagnant for the rest of their life in lots of occasions. And I don't believe God calls us to do that. I believe He wants us to be uncomfortable, and that's where the refinement process takes place in our spiritual walk and also in the world.
Yeah,
I agree.
Without a doubt.
And I'm uncomfortable right now. I'm not necessarily doing this podcast, but in my new role, like this is something that I've never done before. It's the big girl job that I didn't think that I was ready for, but I'm in it now, and I have no choice but to be ready. So I got to figure it out.
What do you happen to know as far as the actual job that you're doing now? Are you significantly younger than most of the people that have done this in the past?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm 24, and I think there was 20 people in my training class, and 3 of them were in their, like, around my age, about 24, 25. And then the rest of them were late 20s and in their 30s, and some even in their 40s and 50s.
Wow.
So I'm definitely very young to be getting into this, but it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
I'm here for a reason.
So backing up, earlier you were talking about all four of your parents. Which one of your parents do you think was the most strict?
Oh gosh. You.
Really?
Yeah.
I would not have thought that. I would not.
Yeah.
I would have thought you would have said your mom that's behind the camera over here.
Well, I think the two of you guys y'all were pretty hard on me, but I mean y'all were pretty strict.
Yeah. What, like, in what sense? Like, how?
Well, I mean, strict. I don't really love that word because you guys let us do a lot of things. But I just think that y'all were harder on us. But I also spent the most time with y'all. I didn't spend as much time with my dad as I spent with y'all. I was always at y'all's house and seeing him every other weekend and on the holidays, of course. Mm-hmm. So like anytime I would go see him, yes, he was strict on me and he expected a lot from me and everything. But you guys saw me the most. So I think I also feel that way because I was with y'all all the time.
Yeah. It's okay. I'm not mad at you.
I know. I don't think you're mad. You seem shocked that I said you.
I was for some reason.
I would have said him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think as parents we make the mistake of putting up guardrails for kids that are probably too tight, and I learned that by listening to a guest we had the other day named Blake from Heartfelt Ministries, and he talked about how you got to expand the guardrails a little bit. Being the helicopter parent all the time and not letting your child do anything is really at the end of the day,
detriment.
Yeah, it's going to be a detriment and cause them to resent you probably later on in life. So I hope those guardrails weren't too tight.
Oh, no, they weren't.
And I want you to know, since I'm the guy that was too strict, it was just out of more than anything, just wanting to harbor and love and protect like your innocence and what you had going on in your life. I mean, I wanted the best for you. So
Yeah.
It wasn't out of just trying to be mean.
No, gosh. I mean, in the moment, it seems like, oh, they're so mean, they're so strict, all those things.
Yeah.
But now, like coming out of it, I'm grown and. I mean, you guys can't tell me what to do anymore. I'm an adult, so I can do what I want and say what I want. But it just, I'm so thankful for the guardrails that you guys set up because I think that there were a lot of mistakes that I could have made that I didn't because one, I didn't want to get in trouble, but two, like I just knew better. And because of the guardrails that you guys set up. So because you were strict, I'm thankful for that. Like
and strict may not even be the right word.
No, I feel like it's not.
It may be like because you guys had expectations and set up guardrails in my life, you kept me from making choices that would have led me down a road that might not put me at this table today.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's a matter of being mean. I think, and obviously, Maddie recognizes it already. Which, surprise, surprise, Maddie catches stuff like that, which is, again, led her to where she's at. It's funny because what your last question really is a great stopping point because it kind of leads into what I want to visit about on the next episode. So we're going to wrap this one up and roll into the next episode. So don't forget to like, subscribe, go to our YouTube channel. A lot of times people just see us on TikTok and they don't realize that we have an actual long form podcast that's on YouTube, Spotify, all the major Apple podcast platforms. And make sure you go subscribe. All we're trying to do is reach one person for Jesus, but go out and kick the day in the face, and we'll catch you on the next one.